Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about my habit and task management practice. Yeah, basically over the last couple of years, I've been able to get my digital life organized in a way that's been really helpful. And it's all because of this system that I've put in place. And as I said, I call it Charlie's task or habit management practice. Um, I've always read a lot about how to get more productive, especially with digital tools, the GTD, getting things done method, etc. But I've never been able to really find a system or tech stack that stuck. And I tend to work across devices, so having a system that works across devices, whether that's an iPhone, an iPad, or my MacBook, that's important to me. And then I also travel a decent amount for work, so being able to do things in transit is important as well. Having this system in place has made my life better. It's made me more organized, and it's allowed me to just seamlessly get things out of my head and into a system that allows me to get them done. So that's been a really big thing, and this actually complements my reading and journaling and podcast practice. So I'll link those videos down below as well. But yeah, I think what's cool is like if you watch all of those videos. It's kind of now that I have these systems so that anything that comes at me, whether it's content I want to read, a podcast I want to listen to, my journaling, it all kind of filters into the same place. And now when there's something I need to do, I'm able to quickly capture it and get it into a place that all kind of goes into the same system. So that's why I've recorded these separate videos. So just talking about like why this exists is I kind of ran into some challenges when building out my kind of like task management system. First thing, I've said this in other videos, I hate my handwriting. It is awful. Like I have a little card in front of me of like stuff that I need to do, and my handwriting is just awful. I look at people who have like nice moleskin notebooks and like a pen and they're writing away and they're handwriting, they have their nice little to-do list. I so wish I was that person. I'm not that person. And so yeah, writing into a notebook is my literal nightmare. So that was kind of like one challenge. Another challenge was I needed something that would quickly allow me to capture tasks from anywhere. So my phone, my laptop, my iPad, like I just wanted to be able to like quickly and easily get it into a single place that I could kind of review at a different time. And then also I found like when I was capturing all these tasks, but I wasn't translating them into time. So I was like, oh yeah, I got to do all this, and then I wouldn't be able to get it done because I'm not actually being realistic about like, hey, that thing that you need to do, that's actually how long it takes. So that's part of this system that I'll talk about. And so yeah, the goal kind of behind the system was I wanted to make it easy to capture tasks in a single place, especially while walking. I do a lot of walking. Make it easy to capture tasks in front of a computer, and then make it easy so I can translate those tasks into time on my calendar. So that's kind of like the background behind it. One thing I also didn't explain a little bit further was getting stuff into a notebook. That would just require an extra step because like everything kind of happens on a digital device for me. So I just felt like doing something analog and then having to translate that into digital was a bit of a pain in the butt. So I'm going to share my screen. I'll quickly talk through this kind of visual that I've put together here. And so this is what I've kind of called my habit and task management practice. And it's really a handful of apps or pieces of software. So I have Things3, I have Reclaim.ai, and then I use Google Calendar, which is, basically my single source of truth, my SSOT. You could set up this system with Outlook or other things that you use, but this is kind of how it works. So yeah, I think with things, I will quickly just stop sharing and I'll reshare here. So oh boy, I'm just clicking around here. Yeah, so Things is the software that I use to capture all of my tasks. Really simple piece of software. It has a weird pricing model. So you buy the app outright. So, if you want it installed natively on your Mac, which I would suggest, it's $50 US. If you want the app on your iPad, $20. If you want it on your phone, $10. So yeah, I've bought it. It's a great product. And the other tool that we'll talk about is Reclaim.ai. And so they do actually have a free plan which you can use. And then as you go up with different features. So free plan does work for this. But these are basically the two apps, and then Google Calendar. So I'll quickly pop back over to my little visual here. And so yeah, basically what I do, how this process works at a high level is I capture tasks, to-dos in Things, my task manager. And so there's a couple ways that we can do that, and I'm going to show you an example of this as we go through. Once I capture them in that task manager, usually at the end of every day, the end of every work day, I'll spend, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes going through my things at like things 3. And then if they are less than 15 minutes, like they're going to take me less than 15 minutes to do, I'll leave them in things and I'll just kind of like bang them off. If they're things that I think, or if they're tasks or to-dos that are longer than 15 minutes, that's when I'll kind of, okay, I'm going to put this in my calendar. And this is going to be something where, hey, I have to sit down and research this thing. It's going to take me an hour. I want to block an hour on my calendar to do that. Or, hey, I have to, go across a couple documents and write some things and give some feedback. That's going to take me 30 minutes. I'm going to put that on my calendar. So what I do is I move all my tasks from Things into Reclaim.ai. And so this is where I actually like block out my tasks. And what I do is I have preferences set in Reclaim, and it will then automatically find time on my calendar. Or if I have overbooked myself and overscheduled myself, it will say, hey, you're not going to be able to get that done by that time. And it forces me to make a decision about what is my most important priority. And then all of that automatically just filters into Google Calendar. And then, I go about my day and I just follow the calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly share my phone screen. So I'll show you what it looks like on my phone. I'm just going to open it here via a cable. I just gotta click trust. Okay, so this is my iPhone. I have a bit of a weird screen. I have some kind of like hidden widgets here. And anyway, that's probably a separate video. In the bottom right, I have set up a shortcut where that tick mark box is, and this will capture to-dos into Things. So I'll be walking around and I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I gotta do that. And I'll be like, follow up with mom and dad about dinner tomorrow night and see if I need to bring anything. Then I'll click done. And just while we're on it is like research some trips for Q3 conferences to attend, right? That'll be another one. Like these are just things that pop into my head. So what's cool about that is captured. So I might be out walking around, I might be finishing a coffee meeting, standing in line somewhere, and I'm just able to capture stuff in there. Now, I could go to Things on my phone, and when I go to Things, those tasks that are in here, those tasks are there, right? So you can see research some trips for Q3, follow up with mom and dad about dinner stuff. But I don't actually use the Things app on my iPhone at all. All I use my iPhone for is quick capture, and I put it right in the home dock. So in the bottom, I have my phone, my messages, my digital note-taking app, which is the kind of thing with the pencil there, and then this check mark box, which is like capturing stuff. And then I have my reading apps, I have my Snipped, my podcast app, and then I have ChatGPT, and then I have a calendar widget, my personal email, and that's kind of it. And then weather, activity, that sort of thing. So my phone is like very, very simple. And the way that I put these icons in was just using the Shortcuts app. You can Google how to use the Shortcuts app and get some custom icons made. And I just like it black. So that is how I capture them. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I have the same thing on my iPad as well. So on my iPad, I have the same shortcut. I hit it, it brings up a little text box, and I can either type in or I can do like a voice memo in. And I just know that it's out of my head and it's in somewhere. that I can triage it, right? So what that does is it actually comes into things, and then I will use things, the app, on my laptop, and that's when I do this transfer from, one to the other. So that's kind of how I capture things on my phone, or sorry, tasks on my phone. Gosh, it's a good name for the app, but it's a bad name for me to remember things or tasks. So we're just going to quickly hop into. I'm going to share my screen, and I will quickly. Oh boy, technical difficulties here. Just give me one sec. So I'm going to show you the feature that absolutely blew my mind with what made me choose things. So on a Mac, I have the Things app installed. So I have this app installed. There is a shortcut that you can use, and it's Control Option Space. And you'll see what it did. It brought up this little box. Maybe you're not actually able to see my screen. So I'm just going to stop sharing again. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. So I'm going to share my entire desktop. Okay, so you can see my kind of messy desktop here. Don't mind me. So what I did was I pressed Control Option Space. And what it did was it pulled up the URL of the active window. So let's say I wanted to review this task manager app. I click enter. Now I'm on to the next thing. And so let's say I wanted to go to, maybe I'm on an article, or, maybe a restaurant. So Nightingale, that's a restaurant in Vancouver. So maybe I'm looking at the menu, and I go command that. Ooh, it didn't pull that in. Oops, wrong keyboard command here. But maybe I go menu, and you can see, okay, it's pulled this in, and I'll go send this menu to Erica to see if she wants to go here. Click enter. So why is this amazing? This also works for email. So if I quickly go into my email, here's an email that I sent, right? And so, what I can do here is same thing. It will pull in the actual URL of this email, and then I'll go reply and let him know that you can help. And then what I'll do is I'll archive that email, right? So that I think is what is super cool about this. And so I do everything in a browser. And that's really important, because those URLs, being able to capture those URLs, gives you that context, and it helps me maintain inbox zero. And yeah, it's just a really useful thing. So what I do is I'm now going to, it's covering my toolbar, so I'm going to stop sharing again. I'm going to just move some windows around here so I'm a bit more organized for you. And right 2/3. Go left third. And then I'm going to reshare my screen. So if I reshare my screen, cool. So now I've shown you kind of how I capture my tasks. This is a lot here, full disclosure. So in the inbox, you can see all of those different things that I captured, right? So, research some Q3 conferences to attend, follow up with mom and dad about dinner tomorrow night, review this task manager app, the URL is already there, send this menu to Erica, and then here's this email thread. So what's cool is everything lands in the inbox. And then on the left here, I've just kind of created these areas. I'm not going to go into, these are just kind of the areas of things. So as I capture different, this, I can drag those in there. And then what I do is I'll move things into today. So I'll go through my inbox, and I'll star things that need to be put in today. They'll kind of go here. I've just created these little categories of like, how can I kind of organize them? I sometimes use this, I sometimes don't. Oftentimes, what I'm doing is I'm just capturing things in the inbox or tasks and to-dos in the inbox, and then I'm bringing them into Reclaim here. And this is something that I do once a day, and my Google Calendar is plugged into this. You probably think I'm insane for doing this. So anyway, this is how I organize things or all my tasks and to-dos. And you'll notice that what I do also is when I capture stuff in things here, I'm saying reply or send or review. I'm using a verb. So that I think is something worth calling out. And then, yeah, when all my tasks you can see are in here, right? And so in this case where I said, okay, like reply to Charlie and let him know you can help, what I'll do is I will copy that. I'll click new task. I'll click reply to Charlie, let him know you can help. I'll grab the URL because this is the URL for the email thread. I'll drop that in. I think replying to this is probably going to take me, let's say this was something I had to pull a bunch of information to. It's going to take me an hour and I want it to be done during my workday. But I'm like, okay, we're off for Christmas holidays. We're not back until January 2nd. So I'll say, schedule it after January 2nd. And, Charlie, this isn't a high priority for me. So I'll try and get it done by the 12th. And I click create. Cool. So now you can see it says syncing Reclaim. What it's going to do is it's booked it Friday, January 5th at 1:45 p.m. So if I view it in Planner, you can see reply to Charlie and let him know that you can help. So now this is on my calendar. So why this is powerful, and then as I go through, I can either look at things in this view and I can mark it as done. I can edit it if I need to, and it has all the information right here about like what I need to do. And this also is the case for my Google Calendar, right? So if I move, into the future here, and I go right here, here's the thing, right? This event was created by Reclaim. And so I'm not going to go into the full kind of Reclaim approach about like these icons. They usually put free when it's like, hey, you're not marked as busy for other people. It's just like this has filled your calendar with an event, but people looking at your calendar still see that you're free and could book you there. So yeah, that's basically how I do it. And so yeah, big thing. And then once I've kind of moved all of those all of the things that I capture in things or the tasks and to-dos, I've moved that over, I'll check it off. And as I go through and move these over from the left to the right, I know that they are getting put in my calendar with the appropriate amount of time for me to complete them, and they're out of my head. So basically going back to this workflow, I'm capturing all of my tasks in things. I'm triaging my tasks in things and deciding what actually gets put onto my calendar. And I'm not actually having to choose when. All I'm saying is, what is it? What's the context around it? When roughly do I need it done by? And how long is it going to take me? And then off I go. So that's pretty cool. And it eliminates the thinking from calendar blocking. I'm capturing things, I'm allotting time for them, and I'm moving them over, and then it will give me some kind of warnings. So that has been really, really valuable for me. Other thing that I will show you here is, I'll just share my task manager at this point. So they actually have this new feature called priorities. And what this does, I'll just hide this. You can kind of have critical, high priority, medium priority. And so you can drag tasks and, move them over. And so if you are just like, hey, I want to capture, what I'll often do is I'll capture all of my tasks in here. And then I'll come over to priorities and I'll be like, okay, what's critical, what's high, what's medium, what's low, right? So, I have a decent amount of stuff there. But I think that's a really useful feature that they have. Or if you're visual, so like when I'm going through a day, right? So if I go to today, right? One of the things that I wanted to do is record my task management video. So this is a task that I put into Reclaim that shows up here. So once I'm done this, and you can see the calendar, like I've already done these things, so there's little check marks. um, you'll see once I'm done this, there will be a thumbs up to show that like I got it done. And then to actually get the check mark, I just come back into Reclaim. And, you know, in this case, I can click mark it as done, right? So now it disappears. And if we go back to the planner, it's just refreshing. You can see how it's a thumbs up. Cool. Now it's just turned to a check mark. So I've finished that task. So what's also cool is as you finish tasks, you're coming in and you're checking off your to-do list. It allows you to look back to see how long did that actually take you. So I also find that really, really useful. So yeah, I think the other thing is if I go to my tasks, there's a little thing that will appear here if if things are going to take too long. And so it will say like, oh, these things are overdue or these things are at risk, and you can click on them and it will filter. So if I go, you know, a new task, I'll say this is sample task. Oops. Geez. Sample task, and maybe it needed to be done. It doesn't let me go back. I can't do it. Anyway, so there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can learn about Reclaim online, but I just wanted to kind of share that. And so yeah, this system I think it's pretty awesome. And the main reason behind that is it allows me to quickly capture from anywhere using things. I then spend that time triaging things, sorry, my tasks over into Reclaim. Reclaim then automatically finds the time on my calendar based on my preferences. So that's another thing that I've done is when you set up your Reclaim account, it'll ask you a bunch of questions. So when do you like to do your deep focus work, in the morning or the afternoon? When do you like to take meetings, in the morning or the afternoon? Are there any days that you know you shouldn't be booked on? You can set that in. So that is how the task side of things works. We'll get into the habits in a second. One last thing I'll mention is your calendar is also the single source of truth. So you can enter all this stuff in, and then, you know, I might be out and about, my day shifts around. I'll literally open the Google Calendar app, and there will be, you know, maybe for the last hour, I was supposed to be doing a certain task, but something came up, I was out on the go. I'll open my Google Calendar and I'll delete that thing out to be like, that actually didn't happen. And Reclaim will automatically find time in the future for it based on when it's due. So that's another thing is all I'm doing is, hey, it's finding time. I'm going about my day, following my schedule. And then as certain things, you know, happen or come up, and I have to remove them from the calendar, Reclaim will automatically find time again. So I find that super valuable. The other side of Reclaim is called habits. So I will share my screen here again, so what you can do is you can actually set all of your different habits in Reclaim. So in this case, they have a bunch of templates. So it's like, you know, by functions, you can be like, okay, I want to read 30-minute, you know, reading, monthly metrics, afternoon catch up, planning, feature, debugging. Like they've created a bunch of these for you. I'm just a bit of a dork, so I like to have, you know, mine ready. And so what I do is when you create a habit, so let's say, you know, it's the end of 2023 right now, and next year I want to start, I don't know, I want to start, what's a good habit? I want to start learning about chess. That is not a good habit, but, and so I start to set the habit. This is something that, yeah, it's probably medium priority for me. I've put it in my personal life. So solo work is like me at work. Personal life is personal life. So it's a personal habit. You know, I probably wouldn't do anything below an hour, maximum maybe 2 hours. And I would only do this after work. So I'd be, you know, say anywhere between 5 p.m. and, you know, let's call it 8 p.m. I'm going to copy that to all, and 7 days a week. Like if this will find time for me. My ideal time, I think it'd be nice kind of after dinner. So I'll say 7 p.m. And how soon do I want this to start? So this is something that I'm going to start in 2024. So I'll say, Jan 1. And other details, do I want to add any notes? My calendar visibility, I'm just going to show busy. How aggressively should Reclaim defend this habit on your calendar? So you can make this so that this habit will show up on your calendar as you're busy, so people can't book over it. So you could go, I'm always busy. So anytime this habit is scheduled, you will not be available. Use Reclaim's AI will automatically schedule events for this habit and set them to either free or busy based on the habit's priority level and overall availability. So this will like look at your calendar, or you can do always free. So, yes, this habit will go in your calendar, but if you book over it with another event, it will do it. So I'll say always free, and notifications, I'll turn that off. Advanced options. Yeah, I don't need to have any of this, and I'll click save. So now you're seeing here, it's scheduling. So January 1st from 7 to 8 p.m. So if we go to, and I go week, and I go January 1st, learning about chess. There it is. It's been automatically put on my calendar. And if I go here, learning about chess, right? So there it is. And yeah, it's actually obviously done this because I said 7 nights a week. So it's found time. But you can see I have something in my calendar here about the Canucks game at the appropriate time. I'm going for a walk with my mom, and then I'm going to watch the Canucks game at my parents' house. That it's not booked there, right? And it does it in the future. So you can see like, oh, there's another Canucks game. But like, yeah, it's taking that 7 p.m. and going, yep, that's a great way to do it. So that's basically how the habits side of things work. And then what you can do is you can turn habits on and off. And so, I'll disable it, right? When I disable, it'll just go down to the bottom here, disabled. And right now it's going to update my calendar. See, it says syncing calendar. And now those chess things are gone, right? Pretty straightforward. So this is a really powerful thing. Once you kind of set up your habits in there, you can kind of forget them. Like I basically set it and forget it. So I have a bunch of different ones where, I like to go for a walk every morning, do my journaling, grab a coffee. I do have a habit in there to hydrate when I wake up. So you'll see that in my calendar every morning. If I go to the planner, I go to today, you can see like I hydrated, I went for a walk, I got ready and had a shower. When I got home, I took a phone call with my cousin Holly while I was walking. I ate some lunch. I did my Readwise review and some Snip stuff, and I'm recording the task management video. Dinner is also a habit. Like I want dinner to usually fall on the calendar around this time. I like to read it at between, before I go to bed, and then wind down is kind of like bedtime routine. And so what I do is I have these all kind of updated in here. I also have some stuff for work, like prepare for our operations meeting. So, I know the meeting is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. So 10:15 to 11 is when I like prep for that meeting and make sure I pull everything together that's needed. I have my walking stuff. I have my organization. So I spend, 30 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes every morning getting my day organized to be like, what am I going to kind of go through? And then I do the same thing at the end of every day, organizing what tomorrow looks like. I have scheduled time for processing my email inbox. I have some, stuff for networking. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that automatically happens. So it's cool. Like once I kind of like set all that stuff in, it just appears in my calendar. And then as I'm triaging and adding my tasks, those appear in my calendar, and I'm just able to follow my calendar. And again, some people are like, this is so stressful, you're like blocking things out. I like to have that structure to start with. So yeah, some days like my calendar is like that, but like the calendar doesn't have context to what's happening in the real world. So, something might have happened and I'm like, okay, and I'll just start like deleting events. Like I'm not going to get that done today. I just know because of this, hit delete. And I don't have to worry about like, oh, I got to like rebook that. The calendar will. And then when I sit down at the end of the day again, I'll do my triage and it's like, okay, I need to get that done. how am I going to kind of rejig things around? And so I think that's the beauty of it, is it's getting everything out of my head and putting it into a system. So yeah, why I'm excited about this system is really it allows me to easily capture all my tasks across any device so that things don't get missed, and allows me to just get stuff out of my head. I think another thing is it forces me to confront the reality of time, which can be frustrating, but it can also be amazing because I've learned how much time I need to actually get things done. So I think we all have this assumption like, yeah, of course I'll do that. No problem, I can get that done. And then when you actually are able to look back on your calendar and be like, holy shit, that took me a long time to do, that's a really valuable thing. So being able to just get better with your estimations, I think is good. And yeah, I think it's also kind of gotten rid of this FOMO of like, will I be able to fit everything in? Because the system just tells me. As long as I get it out of my head and it's captured into the system will tell me if there's time or not, and that has been really good. And so I know the system may seem overwhelming, but again, I think it's a few apps that I've kind of tied together, and yeah, it can be intimidating at the beginning, but once you set it up, it's super straightforward, right? So now when I zoom out to my entire system, if someone shares a piece of content with me that I need to read, it goes to my Read It Later app, Reader, and then I process it when I have time. If there's a task in a meeting that I need to take, maybe on a Zoom call, I can use that quick shortcut on my Mac, and boom, I take that task and it's captured, and I know that I'll get to it. If I'm at a coffee meeting with someone, I'll quickly on my phone on my home screen record oh, I got to send you this video as a follow up. Cool, that's in my system. If there's a podcast that I need to listen to, I'm able to go open my podcast player and download the episode and then process it and go through. So I think like that, I think is setting all this stuff up can be overwhelming, but I set this stuff up, I think it was about a year and a half ago. And it's just made my life so much easier. Being organized digitally as a knowledge worker is extremely important. It's like having your workspace tidy at your job. And so, except it's just in a digital space. So yeah, it's just allowed me to eliminate thinking, and not having to worry about, am I going to forget that, or things falling through the cracks. And yeah, I think the other thing that it's done is it's motivated me to be more intentional with my time. And getting things out of my head has allowed me, or it's forced me to focus on the reality of like time. So yeah, that's kind of the whole system. I'll put links to all of these tools in the description below, and the other videos that I mentioned. But yeah, as always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I definitely haven't gone into detail about like all the different things that Reclaim can do or that Things can do. Just do some Googling. There's some great videos out there from Tiago Forte about Things. Reclaim has a very robust blog, as well as a great YouTube channel with how to set things up and why things are set up that way. So yeah, encourage you to check those out, and happy organizing.